Hey y'all, today's video I'm going to be talking about a little bit about, well, saw maintenance, and also if you're in the market to buy a sawmill, what to look for. Some basic ideas, not your complete goal of what you should know, but it's a start. If you like these type of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there in the lower right hand corner. Hit that thumbs on up and share it with a friend if you'd like. So anyway, let's get on with this. The thing that's important is your tensioner to tighten up the blade. It's very important to keep the tension of the blade, at the right tension. How do you do that? Well, they make a tensiometer. You can clamp onto your blade, so when you tighten it on up, it tells you how many pounds that you got on there. Those things ain't cheap. There's another way. You just go by feel and what it's doing when you're cutting. Well, that takes a lot of practice and learning how to do that. Now, with some of the sawmills on the tensioner, like Woodlands Mills, they come in with this T-handle, but they have a nut welded on right here. Right here they got a nut welded, and you can set the tension with your torque wrench to 25 pounds, and that gets you pretty dang close. I would like to weld a nut up on here one of these days, so I'll be able to do that. Now, another important thing, if you're not going to run the sawmill, don't do like I do. I made a big mistake here. Last time I used a sawmill, I left the tension on, and you can see the blade is rusting on up. That ain't going to hurt nothing, but I left the tension on the blade, and what that does is I got this rubber wheel, this rubber belt that goes around the wheel, and it's the same thing with this belt. This is the dry belt, goes around there. Well, that's a lot of tension that's pushing on these belts, and in time that flattens out. When it's just sitting there not spinning, run constantly, in time that will flatten out this belt through here. So when you start it on out at the spinning, you get a little bit of vibration from it because I didn't loosen the tension. Not good on the belts. Things will be last a lot better on your belts if you release the tension each time you're done using the sawmill. Now, another nice feature to be keeping an eye out is raising and lowering your sawmill. Now, on this here, it's a HarborFreight. All I got is this crank handle and these lockdown handles here. These lock handles lock it in place, so it's not supposed to be able to slide, raise or lower when it's locked. But you know what? On HarborFreight, these things do kind of suck. Don't count on them. It will still vibrate and things will still lower on you. That's why it's best to hang on to this with these HarborFreights. Still lock it on in, but still hold on to this here so it can't slowly vibrate backwards on you as it's running. A number of you all caught that on my videos. You've seen that. Now, Woodlands Mills, and I think other sawmills have it too, they have a wheel that goes on here. And I think I'm going to make one, and then it has little notches with the teeth that it clicks onto. So you can count each click. And depending on how you set that on up, it could be 1/8 of an inch for every click that it's 1/8 of an inch going down, or 1/4 or whatever. But that's what I plan on doing. And then it locks this here so this can't move. Still important to lock that down, but this here would make a huge difference. So keep that in mind. If your sawmill isn't coming with some type of a better setup than what HarborFreight has, keeping that in mind. What can you do to improve your sawmill? Another important feature to a sawmill that you want to keep an eye out. With this sawmill here, is the delivery of the water to the blade. Now, most people think of it as a lubricant to the blade, but the real purpose of this is it's a coolant to keep the blade cold so it doesn't warp up and down. It heats and expands up, and then your blade wants to travel up and down. You want to keep your blade cool so it doesn't overheat, and then you don't get the wavy cuts. Okay? Delivering the fluids to the blade is very critical. In this particular case, I had one that came on out, and you had to adjust the volume of water coming through just right so it wouldn't spray over the top of the blade or drip behind the blade. It was a pain in the butt. So something to consider when you're setting up your sawmill. Make sure that when you turn that water on, it's going to go directly onto the blade. Okay, now some places you got to be more concerned about what you're putting in with that water. If you're in cold country, you might want to use windshield wiper fluid. It don't get that cold here. We don't have the severe colds where I got to worry about freezing on up. You might need to put dish soap in your water if your lumber's got a lot of pitch to it, because that's one thing that you want to watch for is pitch buildup on your blade. I run straight water is all that I run in my sawmill. Just nothing but straight water, but I keep an eye out on my blade here. And if I see any pitch building on up, I'll put some dish soap. Cheapest dish soap I can get. Put it in there, run a few cuts through, and boom, the pitch has gone off my blade. And now it's not going to overheat as much and get that buildup. So that's something to really consider. Other things that you're going to want to consider is maintaining the motor. You know, being able to change the oil on it. What's the easy access for changing the oil? Pretty easy here to pull the deal. But I want to know where the drain plug is. What do I do to change the oil? How do I get it out of there? I got an oil stick on both sides for filling the oil. No drain plug. That's something else you want to consider it. The maintenance on your motor. The spark plug, everything else that you're going to need to do. Something else you're going to want to consider is your rails, your tracks. Now one thing that works, I'm just using regular bar oil. Not the best scenario for this setup, but it's what I have. Not handy, and it's better than nothing. What's the purpose of doing this on your tracks? And don't forget to do your wheels too. Do not forget to do your wheels. What's the purpose of oiling the tracks and the wheels like I'm doing? Well, first of all, the best fluid to use is automatic transmission fluid type F. That's the best thing to use on your rails. The purpose of that is, if you have the guards on, like you should have, the sawdust is going to blow out all on this side. As you can see from the start of the video, I was doing some shoveling, had to shovel the sawdust away from the track. This is the side where all the sawdust blows to. Sawdust has a little bit of pitch. It lands on your tracks. Your wheels roll over it. The pitch is like glue and it bonds to the wheel. Periodically you got to clean that sawdust out of the wheel and that groove on your saw. Clean it on out. If you oil the wheel, put just a thin coating on there and on the tracks, it's a lot less likely that the sawdust will gum up and stick to your track, and that way it won't stick to your wheel. You can do both tracks, but it's mainly the exhaust side of the exhaust of the sawdust. You really want to keep that side oiled up. Just a thin coat, not a whole lot. It doesn't take much at all. Just kind of lightly brush it on there, just enough to keep the sawdust from sticking. Last but not least is your safety gear. Well, today I'm out here wearing my slippers. What's more important than safety gear? It's common sense to know what you can and cannot do safely. You know, people say, well, where's your chaps? Where's your earplugs? Where's your eye protection? Where's this? Where's that? The reality is learn what you can do safely and what you can't. Because you know what, if you're relying on those safety features, most likely you're going to have an accident You know, you can't rely on safety stuff. You can only rely on yourself. There's times when that safety stuff will come in handy for that rare accident, but most important, the best safety, what do you want to call it, gear that you can have is your brain. That's what will keep you safe. Yeah, now that I'm getting this blade all sharpened on, I'll be making another video of the sawmill, cut some more wood. So make sure you stay tuned for future videos of me running the sawmill and what I'm doing with lumber. And also don't forget to check down in the description. There's a link to my Teespring store. Get the coupons, save yourself on a cup of coffee, t-shirts, whatever. There's also a link to my Amazon store if you're going to be shopping on Amazon. There's some suggested stuff in there. I will be adding more stuff to my Amazon store. And let's see here what else. In the future, I got a web page that I've got coming on out. I hope to keep you informed on that too. Stay tuned. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you have rung the bell for future notifications. Don't forget that. We'll see you on the next video. And just like that, we're gone.